Rico McGee, another episode of the Ruler's Minute. Today, I got a special guest, man. Frat brother, very good friend of mine. My man's from way back in the day. We go way back since the three pack. Got my man Khalil Coleman on the show, man. Khalil, how you feeling, bro?
I'm chilling, my brother. How you think with you though, man?
Everything good, man. I'm just working, staying out the way, man.
I hear that. I hear that, man. That's the best way to be sometimes, man. Move in silence, but make them accomplishments be, nice and loud. You feel me? That's what it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm not gonna play no games, man. I want to, get right to the chase, man. First thing, what I really want to talk about is this recent, this recent rise of pro athletes, man, and taking their own lives. I mean, Kyron Lacey earlier this year at the age of 24, and then
Correct.
Marshawn Nealon recently for the Dallas Cowboys. And one of my biggest things, because I know you big on mental health and getting therapy. What do you think is the cause? And these pro athletes and why they're going through what they're going through and why this is happening.
So I'm gonna be honest with you, man. And before I go ahead and answer that, man, for those of you who don't know that, man, I'm a developmental psychologist or whatnot. So I had the pleasure getting my PhD within the last year. So I'm definitely an advocate for the mental health, especially for everyone, but more specifically for those who look more like myself as a black man in the industry. So it's three things: anxiety, depression, and intense performance pressure. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of those things people tend to forget that athletes, because they're in the limelight, because they have been God given gift, that they tend to forget that they're human. You know what I mean? So if you guys can think back, not only just with Cameron Lacey and then the gentleman from Dallas, and prayers out to the family with the gentleman who lost his life, and for both of those and for those both of those families. But then to kind of add on to that, we look at Simone Biles and even with Dak Prescott and them talking about the anxiety and the depression that is stemming from just being able to consistently perform at a top level. And if they don't perform, it's scrutiny and having to provide an explanation as to why they weren't able to perform how they was the previous game. When people tend to forget, everybody has it to where sometimes you may wake up not having the energy that you once had the day before, man. And I think, people become a little bit insensitive. So because of that aspect or whatnot, a lot of the times as athletes, they are, because they're not the norm from a physical standpoint, we become a little bit insensitive to a lot of the times and inconsistencies that they may have. And because of that, so then because of that, we become a little bit insensitive. Then if you take that aspect and then you now add in the social media component where everyone is given the access to have an opinion about something, then now you're taking the anxiety and depression of, man, I haven't been able to perform, and then goes into the third factor that I was talking about, which is the intense performance, that aspect or whatnot, and not being able to, now you have to provide an explanation when you just didn't want to talk. So the difference between the athletes now, and I think they have to deal with a lot more scrutiny now than opposed to the athletes in the past. Every athletes in the past, they had, like, for instance, Stephen A. Smith was a lot of personal sports analyst for a lot of personal players. You just call him on the phone and say, Stephen, I want to have a discussion. You call them upon your terms. Now, you walk somewhere and someone gets you with a phone or just everything, the access as far as social media is concerned. Now you have to provide an explanation and context as to why you didn't perform. And I think those different factors, in conjunction with the three that I'd identified, is the pressure of being an athlete in today's society or whatnot. On top of that, now if you're a young athlete and you've been through different socioeconomic factors, you poor and all the other stuff. So now that becomes amplified. So it's a lot, man. And us normal people, in terms of normal, and I say normal meaning like we don't have, as athletes, we're not in an athletic field. We deal with those things a little differently. So I hope I answer your question.
Definitely answered the question. You brought up an interesting point too, Stephen A. Smith. Being part
Hmm.
of the media and how the media, and now with social media, how that how anybody can have an opinion now. What do you think the media, we as media members, can do to help kind of alleviate some of the pressures that athletes face? What do you think we could do to help, with that mental health if we can?
I think a lot of it can, I mean, develop those relationships. I think develop that rapport. So when you provide, because at the end of the day, one of the things that Stephen A. Smith has said on another podcast or whatnot, one of the podcasts that I like to watch outside of yours, personally, because we have the interpersonal relationship.
Right.
But outside of that, with 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, we had went up there and had a discussion with Carmelo Anthony. And one of the things that he highlighted was that my job, I have a job to keep, one of the things that I predicate myself on is I gotta keep it real. You know what I mean? And as a media, that is your job. Y'all get paid to have the ability to analyze certain things, look at it depending on what your field of study is or feel like your expertise is, look at things, provide a analyzed perspective of the situation, and then that's what basically the foundation. So I think, as far as media is concerned, rapport building is one. I think, and that's just with anything. If you build that rapport with whoever it is that you may be, because you want to, obviously you're not going to just want to, especially in sports, is you might find yourself covering the same person one time. You might be specifically for basketball. Might be basketball season, so you might be covering the same athlete from time to time. I think build that rapport. Get to know the camp, right? Get to know the people that's associated with with that athlete. And I think by having that rapport and building that relationship, that continuity, I think that plays a big factor in when it's time to keep it real. They know that you're coming from a standpoint like, all right, Rico, man, I know Rico, man. My boy Rico, he gonna get on me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't do what I was supposed to do, but I know he coming from a place of love. He coming from a place of respect, and that we're able to have healthy dialogue amongst men, or if it's a woman and a man, and you're coming from a place of love and truth. You know what I mean? And I think that's what differentiates between the Stephen A. Smiths and the one of my favorites that's coming up, RC Ryan Clark. Even he got his good days and his bad days, and then you got and then some of the women, right? Like some people may not like this, but Malika Andrews, I think she does an exceptional job, to the best of her abilities, and I mean, you got to have an understanding. Everybody has different tactics, but I think what makes them good is having and developing relationships and being able to be somebody that the athletes feel as though they can trust when they need to have moments of vulnerability.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what I
Yes,
think.
sir. Thank you for answering that
Of
question.
course, brother.
Last question surrounding this, because we talked about developing relationships and everything like that.
Right.
With Nealon, the player for the Cowboys, I think he was the one that lost his mother shortly after he
Mm-hmm.
got drafted. So we don't take into account a lot of things that these athletes are facing outside of just being a pro athlete.
Correct.
What? How do you think those personal issues? How does that also play a factor into that pressure that athletes face?
Man, listen, and that goes back a lot. A lot of what I'm saying is going to tie in at the end. You know what I mean? Whenever we go to wrap it up, man, the humanistic factor. As a developmental psychologist, what my job is on a day-to-day basis is I look at the broad scheme of life. I look at the beginning point from infant all the way up to adulthood, and in doing that, I look at the socioeconomic factors. I look at the emotional strengths that they deal with, and I think when an athlete loses something, and my praise out to all. I know a couple people, once you lose a pillar in your life as a mother, it ain't never the same. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I think in doing that and in dealing with a trauma of that magnitude, the best way to deal with that is the best way to, is, in my opinion, is to have a strong support system. And I'm an advocate for having some type of therapy, right? Having somebody to talk to in the event, because you don't fix things properly being able to fix something. It's not fix it. It's already too late when it's broken. You need to do the work prior to before the issue being broken. And I believe when you start and develop these tools and speak to people and tell them some of the things you're dealing with, and tell them some of the things, the kind of person, how strong you want to be mentally and emotionally, that can help you navigate. Now, keyword that I'm saying, navigate through traumatic experiences that you may be able to be able to deal with. So with Nailing, what he dealt with, losing his mother, whatnot, again, like I said, that is one of the most hurtful things that you could possibly go into, losing a parent and all that other stuff. But experiencing, looking at my mother and the stuff that she dealt with, and one of the strongest women that I know, what allow her to continue to move on is the understanding of life, support system, and being able to just kind of navigate it to the best of your ability and accept the fact that there's going to be a scent, a song, or something of that nature that's going to kind of bring you to remembrance of that person. But you got to also remember that you're here for a reason, to the best of your ability, you need to go ahead and move the best, to the best of your ability. So
Yes.
that's how I think. Yep.
That's what it is, man. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
my man's dropping knowledge right here, man. Please, man, if you're going through anything and you need somebody to talk to, please reach out to somebody, a support group, a mental health
Absolutely.
therapist. A lot of people don't know that some of these jobs, these companies that we work for, they have employee assistance lines for if you can't
Absolutely.
afford a mental health therapist, but you got to find somebody to talk to. You got to find somebody to help navigate if you can't, figure out how to do that on your own. Switching gears now, the New York Giants. I know you're a diehard Giants fan, and I had them as one of my sleeper teams coming into this NFL season, man. Based on the Giants, I'm gonna tell you, man. I think the Giants are a better team than what their record says.
Right,
I
right, right,
think
right.
the Giants' problem is coaching. What do you think?
110%. The Giants. I'm a dog. You already know, bro. Like I'm a diehard fan, and it's severely disappointing to whereas some of the issues that we experienced, it took so long to rectify. And I'm gonna break it down. The offensive line, we had a bad offensive line for 10 years. So in the midst of that, we drafted, tried to put people and put things in place. It wasn't well. And we came to realize, okay, cool. What's going on? Like it's a developmental thing, which goes back to coaching. So finally, we're top 15 offensive line. Our anchor of the line is our left tackle, which is Andrew Thomas or whatnot, and then we have an amazing right tackle, Jermaine Illuminor, which takes care of you know Jackson Dart blindside. You know what I mean, which is important. But I think at the end of the day, what the Giants' problem is, we're not forward thinking. So like for instance, every team in the NFC has two number one wide receivers. You got a wide receiver 1A and wide receiver 1B. The Dallas Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, in which they took a chance. And look at he about to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles, they got Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. 1A, 1B. Heisman Trophy winner for wide receiver. And then he came to Philly and then just lit it up. Even with the Commanders, they had Debo Samuel, injury prone, but yeah, Debo Samuel, he had Scary Terry. You know who the New York Giants got? Malik Neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
second year wide receiver, and maybe who hands is like blocks, who can't catch nothing. Darius Slayton, he sucks. Point
Yeah.
blank, period. And then Wandale Robinson, who I personally feel is one of the best slot wide receivers in the league, he don't get the ball enough. And it just so happens, it's just like, okay, we're not catching up with times. Now, Wandale Robinson's having the best season he could possibly have now, but he's not doing it. He's doing it because Malik Neighbors ain't there. It's like schematically, it's like we're so behind, and we're not utilizing everyone's talent. So instead of being forward thinking, so back to what I was saying, forward thinking. Right now, just because Wandale Robinson is doing his thing and Malik has proven, we still need another wide receiver. Nobody's scared of our offense. Then what that does is it allows Jackson Dart, who I think is a dog, who I think is going to be the great in this league, it allows him to dial it back. The reason why the reason why people are afraid now of it's first of all, it's football. All right, shit gonna happen. Excuse my language. It's gonna happen,
Right.
right? But if he understands that he has weapons and he needs to make plays when he has to, that's gonna dial back. He's gonna be available, and we need to build weapons and everything around him. But when he ain't got no weapons, when you got the janitor from the third floor out playing X, and then you ain't got no runner, you ain't got nothing, you ain't got no. What you expect the man to do? He's a competitive man. He's fiery. He wants to win. He came from a winning program to the NFL, and the man wants to win. So what the New York Football Giants problem is that number two, we ain't got no coaches, no leaders. What happened with Abdul Carter not too long ago? Who's a dog? He came from Penn State. All right. Penn State was a winning program. I don't know what happened this year. That we're gonna get into whatever. But Penn State was a winning program when he was there, right? He comes to the New York Football Giants, and and that's the thing with these kids. They come from these winning programs and come obviously to a losing football team, and there's no culture. The New York Football Giants has no culture. All right. And when we was winning I seen something the other day with Jason Pierre-Paul and Osi Umenyiora. Jason Pierre-Paul told Michael Strahan the year that we won a Super Bowl to his face, he said, look, I'm trying to get you up out the league. The minute you slip up, I'm going to take your spot. That's iron sharpen iron,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Everybody now we don't talk like that. They don't talk like that. We from the culture whereas look, if I'm on a 15, my man, I need you to be on a 15 at least or a 20. Greatness breeds other greatness. Not everybody don't want to talk to nobody no type of way or get in their feelings. Listen, man, we sucked for a long time. The last time we had a winning season was in 2022, 2023, when we simplified the offense for Daniel Jones, and that was Saquon's best season in a long time. And Giant fans may not like it, but we rolled the back of Saquon Barkley that game. I mean, that season, and point blank period, that is what it is. But now we got to change things, man. As a diehard Giants fan, I got them tatted on my leg. I got Giant paraphernalia. I got all that stuff, bro. I'm sick and tired of losing, bro.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I feel you.
I'm sick and tired of the losing. This year we've competed, but it ain't good enough, man. It ain't good enough. And to be quite honest with you, Dayball shouldn't even been the first person that's been fired. It should have been Shane Bowen first. After Shane Bowen, it should have been Shane Bowen because this is the first year that Dayball was able to have his guy. And the man got Super Bowl rings. He's developed quarterbacks. Now his reckoning ain't what it is, and that's understandable. Head coach, whatever. And then, but if you're going to fire him, you should have fired his ass after the Denver Broncos game. And you should have fired Shane Bowen. You should have tried both their ass at the same time. But now we have Mike Kafka, who I have no faith in at all. And, now we're just in a consistent limbo, which is the same thing over and over again, whatever. But to your point, bro, it is a very, we got a franchise quarterback in Jackson Dart. We got a Tasmanian devil in Cam Scatterbull. I don't even know how he fell to us, which is bananas. And then we have a defense, that's promising. We have a front four that's promising. A linebacker core and all that, and our secondary is kind of shaky. But I think it's all schematic things. But if a coach, me personally, I like Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy has developed Aaron Rodgers, and when Dak Prescott was under Mike McCarthy, he played some of his best football. If you don't want a proven coach, go get Minson from the Chargers. Go get Shula. You know what I'm saying? Go get Clint Kubiak. This brings some new energy in here that's going to set the culture, and let's go ahead and build from there. And if you're not with it, I don't care if you're superstar or not, your ass up out the door. And I can live with that. You know what I mean? But if you want to, nah, you know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is, man. So that's how I feel, bro.
Hey, listen, I was just about to ask you, like, okay, one now that Dabo is out of there, who would you like to see as your next head coach, your offensive coordinator? Like, where do you go
Yeah.
from here? You already answered that question. So
Yeah, man.
now my next question, I mean the culture hasn't been great as far as winning. Sounding a lot like my squad. We ass, but we about to get our ass whooped in a little under an hour, so I ain't worried about
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know y'all boys playing. Yeah, right,
it. Yeah,
right, right.
man, we about to get our ass whooped. So next question. With Scatterbo being out for the year, did they give a timetable on his return next season?
Listen, man, Scatterbull is walking right now. He broke his ankle and he broke his fibula, the fibula, tubula, whatever the case may be. He broke his whole leg was out of there. Ankle was gone. Man, Rico, homie is walking. He
Yeah, that's crazy.
walking. These kids, man, and just the technology, man. He walking. I mean, I just seen a video the other day. I mean, with Jason Tatum doing one-on-one drills. He just tore his Achilles 6, 7 months ago.
Yeah,
So you know what
that's
I mean? What
wild.
Cam Scatterbull from what allegedly should be ready by the time training camp start.
Okay.
And that when Cam Scatterbull, 'cause I got a Cam Scatterbull and I got a Jackson Dart jersey. When Cam Scatterbull was on the field, man, with Dart, that's the New York Football Giants, man. You know what I mean? We gritty. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously be respectful, but we gritty and we gonna talk like this too. And we gonna put everything on the line. Once Cam Scatterbull went down, the whole swagger was out of it. It was gone. You know what I mean? So, I'm really Cam Scatterbull is like the nucleus. He's like the heart. And with Jackson Dart, and then Malik gonna bring the flash, he gonna do what he do. And I think, who I would love to draft in the draft, we got the number one pick. You know, I don't know how likely this will happen. Holla at the Jets, because they got 2 first-round picks. Let's get that 7, move down a couple spots. Um, possibly get Arvell Reese from Ohio. Yeah, whatever. Get the
Mhm.
two guys I like from from your, you know what I mean? Caleb and Arvell. You know what I mean? Because we need to address that. And then I will probably with the 18th pick, I'll go ahead and get well, actually it's three people. On the defensive side, you got two, and then on the offensive side, you got one. So any of the three for the seventh pick, I'll be happy with. And then for the 18th pick, well, actually, no, let me be more specific. Seventh pick will probably be at home. Cause I don't know if Caleb might still be there, but I don't even know Arvell might see it. Caleb might still be there. Get Caleb at 7 and 18. If Cornell's there, get Cornell. If not Cornell, probably Tyson, but he's been dealing with a lot of injury down at Arizona State. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But we need to address skill players, premier skill players, and we had Tyler Nubin, but he's been a bum, probably the most missed tackles in the NFL. It's like it's just his angle, man. Just like they do a lot of shoulder tackling, punching at the ball, man. From my era, man, you get it low, you wrap him up, man. Wrap him up, and hip talk, back hip to ball, whatever. Wrap him up, get him to the ground, man. All that throwing the shoulder and trying to punch the ball out. You run into a Derrick Henry, man, or like one of the big boys, man. They ain't gonna get you up out of here, man. So Caleb Downs is old school. All right, he old school. He could play nickelback, play outside, inside, back at the safety position. He is a dog, man. Same thing with Arvell, man. So I mean, see Arvell, what 6'4", 260?
Yeah,
This
something like
dog,
yeah.
man. He's a dog, man. We need that because our run stopping is horrible. So that's just how I feel, man. That's who I would want to draft, and I think that'll probably be help the nucleus of for my New York Football Giants. So that's what I think.
All right, bet. Man, listen, gotta wrap it up because this Zoom thing is only like 30 minutes for free. Wrap it
Right.
up. Thank you so much, y'all, for so much, Mob, for coming on the show, man.
Come
I
on, man.
appreciate it. Only reason I asked you to wear Nelia, man, to show we both members of Phi Beta Sigma, and Founders Day is coming up, man. So
Yes, sir.
more Phi to all my brothers out there, man. Thank you so much for joining the show. I'm Rico McGee. This is my man's Khalil Coleman. This has been the Ruler's Minute, and as always, we'll see you in a minute.
Yes, sir.